Alright, what's going on, you guys? It's Rahul here, back again with another video, and here I am with my top 10 centers in the NBA right now, and today's video marks the end of my top 10 players at every single position in the NBA for 2021. So before this video does get started, please go ahead and check out my podcast if you guys haven't already. The link to it is in the description below, and I do want to try and grow that thing, so it would really mean a lot to me if you guys could go ahead and check it out. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get this video started. At number 10, I have Jonas Valanjos of the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, this might be sort of a surprise for some people, and I will admit, number 10 was a very hard one. It was a toss-up between a few guys like Jonas Valanjos, Miles Turner, Richaun Holmes, but ultimately, I went with Jonas Valanjos simply because of how good he was. Last year, Jonas had arguably the best year of his career. I mean, this guy, he's really underrated, man. I mean, he was so good last year, yet hardly any people talked about it, and I mean, it really sucks to see that. But hey, man, Jonas Valanjos, he's an amazing player. Offensively, he's pretty good. He's pretty good at scoring the ball. He's pretty good as a shooter, especially in the mid-range area, and he does have somewhat of a three-point shot. Now, I will admit, some people, kind of over-exaggerate when, how much of a stretch big he is, but he is still a solid three-point shooter, and he's one of the best rebounders in the NBA. Like last year, I mean, this man, he was grabbing so many boards, and he was just a flat-out beast when it came to, rebounding. This man he's one of the best rebounders in the league, to put it simply. And along with that, on defense, he's no Rudy Gobert or Bam Adebayo or Joel Embiid, who we will be talking about later on in this video, but he's still a pretty decent defender. And I do think he will be a much better fit next to Zion Williamson, and hopefully he can continue to play well. And last season, he averaged 17 points per game, 12.5 rebounds per game, shooting 59% from the field. Coming in at number 9, we have Clint Capela of the Atlanta Hawks. Clint Capela, last year, I mean, he was very good. I mean, he was a super vital part of the Hawks' run to the Eastern Conference, and overall, he's just a very solid big man. Now, I will admit, he's way more old school, so, I mean, that can be, like a turn. I mean, that can turn some people off when it comes to Clint Capela, and, the fact that he's more old school does make him a little bit less valuable in the modern NBA, but still, Clint Capela is very good at, what he does. I mean, he's still a very good player, and there's a reason why he's at number 9. He's pretty good. He's a decent scorer. He's pretty good scoring around the rim. He's arguably the best rebounder in the league, and he is a very good defensive player. Clint Capela, overall, just a solid player, and I wouldn't call this guy, a superstar or anything, but overall, Clint Capela, very good. And last year, he averaged 15 points per game, 14 rebounds per game, and he led the league in that category, by the way. 2 blocks per game, shooting 59% from the field. At number 8, we got Christian Wood of the Houston Rockets. Christian Wood, in a matter of months, has become one of the best centers in the league, and it's truly amazing to see it, just watch this unfold. He's one of the best offensive bigs in the entire NBA, and Christian Wood, he's a very good scorer. Obviously, he can stretch the floor very well. He's a pretty good as a rebounder, and he can do pretty much anything you wanted from an, offensively from a modern day big man, aside from playmaking. Not the best playmaker in the world, but hey, man, Christian Wood, extremely good on offense. Defensively, not amazing per se, but at the same time, I wouldn't call this guy like a flat out liability. Christian Wood, very good player. I mean, there's a reason why he's at number 8. Now, he did unfortunately have an injury in 2021, so he did sit out some games, but hey, man, Christian Wood, very good player, as I said before. And Houston, I have to admit, they will be a fun, team to watch this year, and he's gonna be a massive part of it. And last year, he averaged 21 points per game, 10 rebounds per game, shooting 51% from the field and 37% from 3. At number 7, we have Deandre Ayton of the Phoenix Suns. Ayton was pretty disappointing in the regular season in 2021, but he was super good in the playoffs, and this guy, he was such an integral part of the Phoenix Suns' run to the NBA Finals, which really that's really what lands him here. His playoff run, it's crazy how good he was in his first ever postseason experience. DeAndre, he is a little bit traditional in how he plays, but he is a little bit more mobile than most traditional big men, and I mean, again, there's a reason why he's at number 5. Deandre Ayton, very good at what he does. He's really good at scoring around the rim. He has a pretty solid mid-range game as well. Great at grabbing boards, and he's also pretty good on defense. I mean, he definitely he was pretty good last year. More so in the playoffs than the regular season, but overall, Deandre Ayton, very good. I really do want to see him take that next step as a player, and really see him break out in 2022, because last year he was, a lot of people expected him to break out, but that didn't exactly happen in the regular season, but it did happen in the playoffs. So I really want to see him, continue that, trajectory in 2022. Maybe not at that rate, because I mean, it's hard to sustain, the type of numbers he was putting up. But hey, man, Deandre Ayton, very good player. And I mean, if the Suns do win the championship next year, I know he's going to be a really big part of it. And last year, he averaged 14 points per game, 10.5 rebounds per game, shooting 63% from the field. At number 6, we have Nikola Vucevic of the Chicago Bulls. Nikola had one of his best years, in 2021 as a pro. Nikola Vucevic, he can do pretty much anything he wanted from a modern day big man offensively. He has the ability to score very well, very good shooting the ball, and last year he shot like 40% from 3. Okay, I know I spoiled that stat, but man, I mean, he was so good. He was really good scoring the ball, and he's a very good shooter, very good as a rebounder, and he's also not that bad of a playmaker either. He's a pretty underrated playmaker. Nikola Vucevic, overall, very good on offense. Defensively, not so much, but again, his offense, it really makes up for, the fact that he's really just not a great defender, but I wouldn't call him a liability. But Nikola Vucevic, overall, very good player. And honestly, I feel like with the, a lot of, Chicago's big free agent moves, a lot of people have kind of forgotten about him. But hey, man, Nikola Vucevic, I mean, if the Chicago Bulls, if they're really good this year, Nikola Vucevic is going to be a massive part of it. And I will admit, he wasn't quite as good when he got traded to Chicago, but that can be attributed to a lack of chemistry with his teammates at the time. And along with that, I will say, I expect him to be much better in the 2022 regular season, now that he has time to really just gel with his teammates. And also he has another off season, man. So like, Nikola Vucevic, overall, great player. And last year averaged 23 points per game, 4 assists per game, 12 rebounds per game, shooting 48% from the field and 40% from 3. And making our way into the top 5, we got Rudy Gobert of the Utah Jazz. Rudy Gobert, he might be one of the most hated players in the whole league, but no one can deny how good he is as a player. Gobert is one of the best defensive bigs players in the entire league. Not just bigs, he's one of the best defensive players in the whole league. He's one of the best rebounders, and while his offense is not anything crazy, I mean, he can catch lobs and score around the rim, and he's a pretty good pick and roll threat, I will say that. And he won Defensive Player of the Year in 2021, and I mean, honestly, I mean, even if you think someone else should have won it, no one can deny how good this man is on defense and how good he is as a player. Now in the playoffs, the Clippers, they did neutralize him defensively with the small ball lineups that they, that they ran, that really just yanked him out of the paint. And while that sure is really a hindrance to his team, the fact that, he can't really guard the perimeter well and doesn't have a lot of great defensive versatility, he's not 100% responsible for the Jazz disappointing in the playoffs yet again. And he's still amazing on defense. We have to get that out of the way. Rudy Gobert might have been, just, killed with those small ball lineups, but no one can deny how good he is as a defensive player, all right? Rudy, he's basically the reason why Utah is such a good defensive team, and overall, very good player. Last year, averaged 14 points per game, 13.5 rebounds per game, 3 blocks per game, shooting 67.5% from the field. And number 4, I got Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat. Bam over Rudy might be a little bit controversial simply because of but I have him, Adebayo over Gobert simply because of Bam Adebayo's, defensive versatility. So if you have Rudy Gobert over Bam Adebayo, I can't blame you, but yeah, man, I got Bam at number 4. Adebayo, he's one of the best defensive players in the whole league with the ability to guard pretty much every position on the hardwood. And his offense, it's not as good as his defense, but he can still score the ball pretty well. He's pretty good as a playmaker, and along with that, he is improving as a shooter. And last year, he took some real strides as a mid-range shooter and as an offensive player, and was more aggressive when it came to shooting the ball. Like, he was not afraid to take mid-range shots, and overall just improved as a shooter. Now, his 2021 playoff run, it was god-awful, but to be fair, like, the Miami Heat, like, that playoff run in 2021 was god-awful, and I'm sure they'd love to forget about that. But he's still a really good player. Sorry about the voice crack. He's still a really good player, and I don't think one playoff run should, make him, should all of a sudden just make him a trash player. He's a very good player. And Kyle Lowry, I gotta admit, I think he's really gonna help his offensive game, because that just adds another playmaker, and that's really gonna help him, in the pick and roll, pick and pop, and stuff like that. And last year, he averaged Bam Adebayo averaged 19 points per game, 5 assists, 9 rebounds, shooting 57% from the field. Next year, Bam could definitely win Defensive Player of the Year, and I mean, he's really good. That's all you really have to say for him. At number 3, I have KarlAnthony Towns of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Cat, sadly, he did deal with a lot of mental health issues last year in Minnesota. They were terrible yet again, but hey, man, they dealt with plenty of injuries, and he himself also dealt with a lot of injuries. And I feel like a lot of people have forgotten just how good he is. You know, don't get this twisted. KarlAnthony Towns, he is a super good player. Or, you know, Towns, he had a pretty good season last year despite Minnesota being very bad. And in 2022, I think Cat, he's probably going to have an even better season. And I think the Wolves will as well. KarlAnthony Towns, he's one of the best offensive big men in the entire league. He has the ability to score very well. He can shoot at an elite level. He's pretty good as a rebounder, and he's also pretty underrated playmaker. His defense, it's not fantastic, but he has improved on that end to, you know, going from like a terrible defender to a neutral one. Not exactly positive, but hey, he's a neutral rather than being a negative. And I mean, overall, KarlAnthony Towns, a very good player. And last year, he averaged 25 points per game, 4.5 assists, 11 rebounds, shooting 49% from the field and 39% from 3. And our runner-up is Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers. Joel had the best season of his career in 2021, and he was a top 3 MVP candidate. I think we can all agree 2021 was his best season yet as a pro. Now, sadly, it ended in a pretty disappointing second round exit, but hey, man, that's really not on him. I mean, you can definitely blame him a little bit, but most of it should not be blamed on him. Embiid, he's a fantastic scorer, especially in the post, and really good scoring around the rim. He has a pretty nice mid-range jump shot as well. He's very good at grabbing boards, and he can defend at a very high level, and one of the best defensive centers and big men in the entire league. Now, Joel is really gonna have to play like an MVP again if Philadelphia wants to continue to contend. Sorry, I couldn't speak there. Considering the fact that Ben Simmons won't play another game, is sporting a 76ers uniform, and I know a lot of people will say, "Oh, Ben Simmons is ass," and stuff like that. But while Ben Simmons has his weaknesses, I mean, this is a whole nother conversation. While he has his weaknesses, no one can deny that he definitely does bring some things that they will desperately miss. But hey, man, Joel Embiid, overall very good player. Sorry about the voice crack again. And I mean, honestly, you can make a case for him being number 1. And last year, he averaged 28.5 points per game, 3 assists, 11 rebounds, shooting 51% from the field and 38% from 3. And number 1, we got Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets, my favorite team. Now, Embiid and Jokic, in my opinion, are neck and neck. Honestly, I think we can almost everyone can agree with that. They are neck and neck. I don't know about almost everyone agreeing with that, but hey, man, they are neck and neck. Anyways, I might be slightly biased as a Denver Nuggets fan, but I had to give it to him. I mean, he won MVP. 2021, it was easily Jokic's best season as a pro, as he won MVP again. Nikola is one of the best offensive players in the whole NBA. He can score really well, one of the best playmakers in the league, a really good shooter, and he's a great rebounder. His defense, it's not as good as some other centers in the league, but he's not a liability on that court, on that side of the court, aside from guarding pick and rolls. But yeah, man, Nikola Jokic, absolutely fantastic player, and honestly, he might have another MVP caliber season in 2022, and he truly transcended last year. Now, last season, he averaged 26 points per game, 8 assists, 11 rebounds, shooting 57% from the field and 39% from 3. But hey, man, with that being said, that'll be all for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, hit that like button, as it really helps out the channel. And also, make sure to subscribe if you guys are new and you guys enjoy this type of content, so you don't miss out on any new videos like this. Plus, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and once we hit our goal, I'm finally going to do a face reveal. But hey, man, with that being said, I'm out, you guys.